I'm preparing my deck for upcoming tournament play, so I'll be practicing a lot on Octagon. By recording and rewatching my play, I hope to spot and correct errors in both my play and my deck. As such, commentary will be serious and uninteresting, only focus on my mistakes. If that's not what you're here for, this video is not for you. Thanks.
Practice match, Grindel versus Chaos Theory. I start off with this hand, which fulfills 2 of the 3 criteria for me to keep my hand. There's economy, there is only 1 agenda or less, and there's those are 2 criteria that I fulfilled. The 1 criteria that I'm missing is 2 pieces of ice. I only have 1 hive, and hive is expensive to rest. But I still keep it because I'm hoping I'll draw into another piece of ice with my mandatory draw, which I don't. I draw an agenda instead. So now I have 2 choices. I can protect HQ to save my hostile takeovers, or I can protect the remote and start scoring out agendas that I draw from R&D. This is a stupid decision, obviously, because I should have protected R&D. I'm beginning to realize more and more that protecting R&D first is the correct line of play, not protecting HQ as I usually do to fend off siphons. Windows really naturally resilient to siphons. Why do you want to protect against siphons? My ideal board state would be to have 2 or 3 deep ice R&D and a scoring remote with HQ left wide open. You can clear my HQ for all you want, but you're not going to get any agendas from there because any agendas I draw from R&D will go straight into the scoring remote and you can't touch either of those. So yeah, that's my philosophy. And the most important thing of protecting R&D is that I get to protect my Jackson Howards from being trashed, which is so important. I realize more and more that my win rate is significantly increased when I am able to get a Jackson Howard out on the table. It means I can recycle my agendas. It means that I can enable my accelerated diagnostics combo. Jackson Howard does so much for my deck, and yeah, luckily I drew into 1, but that took me 1 click. So this means that I can nullify the threat of Keyhole for the next turn. The problem is I do not have any ice to protect R&D now. How I wish that I put my hive on R&D. So I have a choice now. I can either spend click 2 to draw a card and hope it's an ice that I can use to protect R&D. But that is too risky. So what I did was the safer play, to install the Jackson. And if he runs the Jackson or he continues key holding, I'll reshuffle everything back into R&D. So I'm safe for now. He didn't run to archives to retrieve anything last turn because he only milled 1 or 2 agendas, I think. So I installed the Jackson and I drew up. This was a mistake. I should have drew first, seeing whether it was a piece of ice or a Jackson, and then make my choice, depending on how porous the ice is. So that was definitely a big mistake there. If I'm intending to draw, I should draw before I install. That is a very bad habit of mine. Anyway, he continues keyholding me. He gets pretty unlucky with his keyhole runs, to be quite honest. Although this means that he's actually trashing very valuable operations from my deck. That he's trashing my economy, and more importantly, he's trashing. I think he trashed 1 mid-seasons and 1 Scorched Earth, so I can no longer combo from hand, which is quite a nuisance. So yeah, in chat I was sarcastically going off on him for relentlessly hitting my R&D. Although I must say I got quite lucky that he didn't decide to steal all the agendas 2 or 4 points worth in R&D in archives on the first turn. Then again, that's not a very smart thing to do against Wayland, because if I have a primitive counter strike, I'll just go after him, and he's flat out broke. So yeah. I think by this point he has milled 7 points worth of agendas. Nope, he hasn't. So he continues doing milling, and this is what he has milled so far. He has thrown away a Jackson, Scorched Earth mid-seasons, and 4 points worth of agendas and a hedge fund. And now the power shutdown joins the party. So yes, I draw into a Scorched Earth, no go. Now I decide, should I draw another card or should I activate Jackson Howard? He still doesn't know that I have a Jackson Howard on the table. So I draw manually, no ice. For the 2nd turn in a row, no ice. I draw even more, I see a power shutdown. There's no question here. This is the only thing I can do to save myself from getting from any more R&D pressure. So with Jackson out, I'm hoping that this won't be too harmful for me. I shut down for 4, and I look at the damage that I did. Thankfully, I only trashed 1 agenda. So my Jackson can now go back to recover all 3 agendas, 2 atlases and 1 cleaners. I then discard the Scorched Earth from hand, I believe. Oh no, why did I do that? No. Mistake. Yes, definitely a mistake. I should have discarded, I don't know. Okay. At this point, before I discarded the diagnostics, there were, no. I definitely should have discarded the Scorched Earth. Why? Because my flatline mode, my only means of flatlining him is by landing a mid-seasons, and that is already in the archives. The chance of me reshuffling it back into the deck with Jackson is horribly low. So I should have kept the accelerated diagnostics and hope that I draw another Jackson as well as my final copy of Power Shutdown. There were 2 Power Shutdowns in my deck already. In my archives. So that was a mistake. I should have relied on the combo rather than thinking that I can shuffle everything back with another Jackson that I draw up. Mistake. Well, I still draw into another accelerated diagnostics, but that's my last one. Probably, yes, I guess my line of thinking was that, hey, there's another one in my deck, I can wait for it. Anyway, now that the runner seems to be on a weak point, although I wouldn't say it's that weak, but I knew that my window for flatlining has closed, so now I need to just rush out agendas as quickly as I can. So I'm hoping that he doesn't have anything good in his hand, no tutors or any sort, and sure enough, he just gets money. So I'm able to score a cleaners for free, which was a very, very important score. And thankfully, he hasn't been running my hand too much, so I still have another hostile takeover ready to score. But first, the cleaner goes, so leaving me at 4 points. I discard my last diagnostics, so I'm really saying forget the combo, which is, I don't know. I'm not sure whether that was the right choice. Because really, the chance of me seeing my mid-seasons again in hand is close to none. So, yeah, I'm not very happy about this decision that I made. I draw into another cleaners. I'm very tempted to install advance it. Oh no. Yep, I'm tempted to, but I didn't in the end because I suspect that he now has the means to score it. Steal it if he plays aggressively. I think this could be a mistake on my part. Or I don't know. Yeah, given that I drew into a quandary, I guess I did the right thing. Look at what he's doing now. He installed SMC and clone chip. Had I installed the cleaners there, he would have been able to bring out Corroder and break the hive easily. So, yep, I made the right choice here. And moreover, I got him to spend 1 tutor to bring out his Corroder that breaks the ice wall. So now he only has 1 tutor left. So I can plan accordingly. But anyway, now he gains access to R&D. And oh man, that was very painful. That was the last cleaners in my deck and he scored it. So now the question, do I go for the win? It's very hard to do so because he can break through Hive easily and Quandary on top can be fished out by clone chip into self-modifying code. So I knew that my remote wasn't thick enough to score the winning agenda. So yeah, I decided to attain my ideal board state, which is a huge chunk of ice on R&D, a huge chunk of ice on my remote, and score something. So I prevent the R&D lock for now. Hopefully I can draw into a useful card like Jackson or otherwise. Oh yes, here I typed in the chat box that I made a misplay. What I should have done was to power shut down his clone chip. Yes, the good news was that I actually recognized this during the game itself. Usually I only see my mistakes in retrospect when I do commentary on videos like now. But yes, during the game I saw that was what I should have done. I should have took a little more time to think about the possibilities and used power shutdown on clone chip. So that was a big mistake, because now the threat of him being able to pass my quandary still remains. Okay, here I make another mistake. I should have gone all the way with the install advance. By doing this, I'm more or less telegraphing that I had an agenda in here. So I really shouldn't rush through my thought process. I installed the archer onto the remote despite him having a sharpshooter out. I'm not sure if I made the right choice there. As you can see, I'm really not very happy with my play. The thing about remotes is that the runner will only hit them once, and they will win from there. They will score whatever agendas in your remote and win. I wanted to get the remote as fortified as possible so that I could score something inside, because I pretty much only needed to score one more agenda to win. I have another hostile takeover. But yeah, I think I was too focused on getting the remote up to see that Archer on the remote was really not a good idea. Then again, there are not that many pieces of ice on the remote that would have done well. Chimera is pretty much the only thing, because Chimera can take on a hard end to run sentry, which I do not have. I completely lack in my deck. Yep. I put the hostile takeover in my remote because it seems like he's going to hammer on HQ. And by the way, last turn, yes, he stole another cleaners, so that was very painful. He's actually now on match point, 6 points. That's why I was forced to throw in the hostile takeover, because I couldn't risk him stealing it from my hand. He parasites down my ice wall, and yeah, I install over with a hive, which was not so much. I quickly realized that was very stupid, because I already had 4 agenda points scored. A hive would only have 1 subroutine at this point, and less so if I score the hostile takeover, which I'm about to do. So just terrible plays all around. But anyway, I took it back and I installed the Shadow instead. Shadow is much better. I hope to force out his Sentry Breaker, and I'll capitalize on that window opportunity to score an agenda. As I expected, he hammered my HQ, which is all the more the reason why I wanted to toss my hostile takeover into a safer place. As you can see, I'm losing grip of the game. Now that he has quite a few breakers out, it's very hard for me to score anything safely. I joined the hostile takeover, no question, that has to be scored. So that puts us on 6-6. The next agenda wins the game. So yeah, right now, just a recap, my remote is Archer, followed by Quandary, followed by a Hive, which now has no more subroutines. So Archer can be broken by Sharpshooter, Quandary can be clone chipped away. So my remote is really no go. It's completely unsecure, but that's my only mode of victory, because I already scored all 3 of my hostile takeovers. So that's a very huge problem. I can't keep the runner out, and he has 29 credits to his name. Alright, I draw into the fracking. There's no way I'm going to install in the remote. Until this is what I do. I now use the power shutdown, force him to trash one of his items, and then hope to rush out the win. Unfortunately for me, he does trash the data sucker instead of the clone chip, but it doesn't matter, because he then installs a fam, and he fammed the only piece of ice that would stop him from getting in, which is Quandary, and an SMC to boot, so I was not going to win either way. Unfortunately, all I could do was to stop him to the best of my ability, and then he will score the agenda for the win. So, I guess this game was winnable, so long as I made the correct plays early on. Unfortunately, there were lots of misplays from securing the wrong server early on. for your information, the hive that I put in the remote on the first click did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. So that was a huge mistake. Then, yeah, it just went downhill from there. I guess there was no chance of me flatlining the runner, even though he scored an agenda on 2 different occasions. My mid-seasons was in my trash, and I didn't draw any Jackson Howards on the way. But still too many misplays, I think. And that's very unfortunate. That's about it. Thanks for watching.